So I just got reels, meaning I just started watching them. I just started making them. I'm not great at making them yet. I am having fun doing so. And if you're interested, definitely come hang out with me on Instagram. All the information's down below. But there's a reel I saw recently that had me laughing so hard. You guys have probably seen it. And I don't know if I have the technological savvy. The chickens are back. Oh my gosh, of course I'm filming. Here come the chickens. I don't know if I have the technological savvy to insert it anywhere in here. Basically, the reel is some girl being like, I am over it. I am over it. I am unlocking my villain era. Spread hate. I don't know. I thought it was so funny. But in general, the villain era is kind of like a trending topic, I feel like, as of late. And I wanted to throw my 2 cents into it and talk about the villain era and maybe like what has you wanting to unlock your own. Maybe the ways that you're going to unlock it, and maybe why some of them either might not be the best way to go about it, and maybe I can tell you some better ways to go about it. Before we get started, make sure you check the down bar for links on my social media platforms. Thumbs up if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new here. Again, as I said at the top, make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram and Instagram Reels, and come hang out on the book club. Come hang out on Patreon for the book club. This month we are reading You Are a Goddess by Sophie Bashford. Oh my gosh. Really excited about this one. I have some really cool follow along at home things I want to do with this book. So if you are interested, again, everything is down below. Okay, so for whatever reason, right, something has happened, you've gone through some kind of life change, whatever the case may be, you are wanting to do things that maybe do not come naturally to you or seem like a good way to be a villain. And I've come up with a few ways in particular and a few incentives I feel like that might cause people to unlock their villain era. And the first one is you are ready for your good girl gone bad era. The good girl gone bad trope is something we have seen play out in music, pop music in particular. I've been filming all day, so roll with it, right? We've seen this play out in particular in the music industry ever since like the early 2000s. We saw Britney do it. We've seen Miley do it. We've seen Rihanna do it. I personally think Christina Aguilera did it best. I don't think she gets enough credit for that. But basically, the good girl gone bad era announces that like it's a new day and we're wearing assless chaps and there's nothing you can do about it. I know a lot of people want to give a pop star flack for that part of their career. I think it's necessary, especially if you were a part of the Mickey Mouse Club / Disney to pop star pipeline they've been doing for like the better half of 30 years or whatever. It's important, I think, for them, these pop stars in particular, to really announce that they are no longer children. They don't want to be seen in that light anymore. They realize their audience is maturing and getting older. So it's kind of a visual representation of that. And I also think that when we go through it, which a lot of us do, or maybe you didn't and you want to, but I think when we go through it in our minds, it's very much the same thing. So let's say you're ready to go through your good girl gone bad stage. You want to do some silhouette challenges. I know that's from like a year ago, but like I said, I just got reels. Maybe you're wanting to capitalize on that schmex appeal. Maybe you want to start an OnlyFans. Maybe you're starting to want to dress a little more provocatively. Listen, I am not here to talk you out of any of that. I say more power to you for the most part. I just want to give you a couple things to think about, and if the end of this segment comes and goes and you still feel very convicted to take those steps and do those things, awesome. But just consider a few things I'm going to say right now. I feel like this era in most people's lives, particularly people who are not pop stars and are not trying to get their audience to grow up with them, I think for us, like people IRL, it comes from a need to rebel. And I love a rebel, like don't get me wrong. But like when I was going through my rebellious stage, not only was I not as in control as I thought I was in that moment, but I was doing things, saying things, being with people, being around people, making choices, all under the guise of rebellion, without really thinking about the long-term effects of those choices. And I regret a lot of the things that I did. Not all of it. Some of it was fun. Some of it was necessary learning. But a lot of it I could have rebelled, you know, or whatever. I could have learned a lot, but I didn't have to do it that way. I didn't have to do it in a way that fills me with so much horror and like regret now at this point in my life. By the way, I'm 36, and my rebellious stage was from the time I was about, I think peak rebellious stage for me was 21 and 22. Just absolute mess. But the thing I really want to point out about rebelling is that, take this journey with me. If you are doing something because you want to rebel, you want to stick it to someone, you want to show someone they can't control you, they're not in charge, you're your own person, you got a point to prove. If you are doing something, and this is going to be a running theme in this video, so get ready for it. If you are doing something to specifically get a rise out of, to annoy, to irritate, to frustrate, to piss off another person, you are still taking that action because of and for them, which kind of means you are still under their control. So like, for example, if you were in a controlling relationship and your way of rebelling once you go through your breakup is just to be like, yeah, Travis, I'm going to show you. I'm going to table dance and twerk on Instagram because you used to lose your shit when I listened to WAP. I'm not saying those things are not fun, although the internet is forever, and especially you younger ladies who are yet to learn this the hard way. It is, okay? It is. It's forever, it's forever, it's forever. Be aware of that. Doing something in spite of someone reeks of the fact that they are still able to control you. It's not something you are cognizant of in the rebellion stage. In the rebellion stage, you are higher on your own supply and you are just filling your oats. Like, you are convinced that everything that you do is for you and it's about you. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's true. But you have to ask yourself, and only you can know the answer to this, if you are motivated by a reaction. And if you are in fact, unfortunately, my love, not actually in control right now. My rebellious stage, and a lot of rebellious stages, come from a place of hurt. For me, it came from getting out of abusive situations, controlling and abusive situations, and finally wanting to just literally do whatever I wanted to do because I could. I wanted to just almost numb myself from the actual pain I was feeling. Like, the remedy was to rebel. The remedy was not to deal with the pain. Now, again, only you can know if this is the case for you, but so often these periods, you need to talk to your aunties, talk to your mom, maybe not your moms, they might not be honest with you. You need to talk to the elders. The older women in your life have some lessons to spend. We don't get this age by being stupid. Like, we've been through some shit. We've seen some shit. They will tell you that a lot of the stuff that they did in their rebellious stage was out of pain. And pain does have purpose in our life. Hopefully it teaches us and helps us become stronger. But again, if you're making decisions from a place of pain, you might end up making choices that confine you and constrict you to a place in this world that you cannot ever get out of again. You don't want to be defined by your pain because you made dumb choices when you were in the thick of it and couldn't see around you enough, couldn't be told anything, wouldn't listen to anyone, and now you're actually in a way worse place than the place you were in that caused you to rebel to begin with. Does that make sense? Doesn't? Hopefully. And the point I'm trying to make is not sit down and be a good girl. The point I'm trying to make is, like, have we processed this? Do we know what we're doing, why we're doing it? Are we prepared for the consequences? And are there better ways to rebel? So, for example, when I got out of a very significant relationship in my early 20s, the guy that I had been with for 2 years was so controlling and abusive. It was crazy. I didn't really appreciate how bad it was until I got much older. Now I can see just how nuts that situation was. And I had such an extreme reaction to getting out of that relationship that I just made a bunch of dumb decisions about. But the point of the decisions at the end of the day was I needed to prove that I was on my own and you can't tell me nothing and nothing is going to stop me and this, that, and the third. And, you know, the rest is history. But if I had a good head on my shoulders and had some clarity, there were a million ways, if I just needed to send that message, that I could have done that. Like, I could have started my freelance makeup artistry business. I could have started it. What is the more optimal way to show someone, like, you can't tell me shit, you can't stop me now, than to start your own business. A dream that I had at that point for like my entire life. I didn't go on to do it for like 4 or 5 more years, but that would have been a productive, healthy, rational, reasonable way to deal with my anger, fear, frustration, etc. But yeah, the point I'm basically trying to make is don't mistake wilding out for healing. Don't be rebellious for the sake of being rebellious, especially if it's heavily motivated by trying to prove a point to someone else. Which brings me to the next reason you might be trying to be a little bit more villainous, which is that you want revenge. The tone of this video is going to be way more kumbaya than the thumbnail or the tagline might indicate. So if you came here to learn how to actually be like a villain, I got nothing for you. My thing is more like, I have always gotten what I want. Excuse me, I've been filming all day. I always get what I want. One way or the other, I always get it. And like, I've never had to be vengeful or anything like that. Like the most I will give you is apathy. Like maybe there's a situation I see coming your way that's going to be really problematic for you, and maybe I could intervene and stop it, but I'm just going to let karma and fate have her way with you. Like I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. However, I will say there is a huge difference between revenge and standing up for yourself and getting justice. Those are very different things. I am team stand up for yourselves, team get your justice, but you know the difference between revenge and justice. Like we all do. But to say that I would like plot and scheme or anything, like no, I am not someone you want to mess with either. Like anyone who knows me knows that. But I don't know. I go back to what I just said a second ago. If I had to expend energy and time on someone who I don't like, that is still my precious energy and my precious time. I'm handing it over to them. They are in control of me in that moment. They are motivating me. The only things that motivate me are myself, my goals, my family, my kid. Like those things motivate me. Those are things I'm happy to spend my time and energy on. People I don't like, oh my God. Last thing that's getting any of my time, energy, or attention. I made a comment in a recent video where we were talking about motivations and what motivates people to do things. And one of the things I said is that there are people out there who are heavily motivated by anger, resentment, and revenge, things like that, which is fine. You can't argue with results. If it's getting you where you want to go, like cool. The only issue I take with that, the only like downside you have to consider in that moment is that if you are really heavily motivated by your disdain for someone, your rage at someone, your revenge, and like somehow the way you're trying to enact that revenge doesn't come to pass, that's even worse because you put in all this effort to do something and you're still pissed off. Like if you don't get what you want when you're motivated by revenge, I feel like that would suck, honestly. I can't. In fact, I've only done something one time in my life, I'll tell the story another day, that I would say it was full blown out of spite. It was a guy that I dated because his ex-wife cheated on him with my then boyfriend. So me and her ex-husband got together. I can't speak for him that if it was spite on his end, it was for me. Blew up in my face. It was a nightmare. Worst relationship I've ever had. Well, number 2. I'll talk about that another day. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is like, I don't know if I would recommend actively seeking revenge on people, but there is kind of an alternative to this that makes sure you win no matter what. I think you guys need to understand that I've experienced some pretty significant getting screwed over situations. And I mean bigger than she kissed my boyfriend, like potentially life ruining stuff. It has happened to me. And when I was in the thick of it and I was so angry and so hurt and so betrayed and so lost, I fantasized about revenge a lot. Don't get me wrong, but what ended up happening was, I finally did start standing up for myself in these situations with these people. I did start getting justice for what happened, which was on the very straight and narrow. It wasn't difficult to do at all because it's just what was right. But also because you have to consider this. If there are people in your life who are doing something hurtful to you by accident or design, one of 2 things is true about them. Either they are in a low place in their life, like we've all been there where we haven't been our best selves, we're a little more selfish, we're a little more careless, a little more thoughtless, and maybe we didn't try to hurt people, but people got hurt, right? Eventually, if you are a normal, healthy, non-sociopathic, non-narcissistic person, you will eventually come to realize what you have done wrong, and you will probably try to atone for it. That's what's happened with me, at least. There have been people in my life who have done things to me that were not great, and eventually they apologized to me. They all did, with the exception of the people, and this is person number 2, who does this stuff out of habit. This is just how they move through the world. This is just what they do day in and day out. They are motivated by rot. Like there is something broken inside of them, and they are habitually selfish, manipulative. Their self-hatred is so deep and intense. They have no empathy. Those people, you don't have to do anything to get back with them, because you're not the only person they're going to do this stuff to. They're going to come across the real wrong one day. And or some bigger consequence. The law's going to get involved. Jobs are going to get lost. Houses are going to get lost. Like scandals are going to come from it. Those people always get their comeuppance. The shitty thing is it might not happen as quickly as you want, and you might not get to be a part of it. Which, again, like I said, in these instances, I might just watch the train headed towards you and not warn you about it. But I'm not going to be the one driving it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think people drive trains like this, but whatever. I guess what I'm saying is you can decide what you want to do in this situation. And I would do it based on a number of things. Number one, has this situation happened to you repeatedly? And is it a matter of, I just need to stand up for myself? Is there some legal action you can take to get justice for this situation? Do the things you can do to basically let them know, like, you can stop selling crazy here. We're full up now. Like, that usually is enough, because a lot of these people who are just toxic on a regular basis, all they need to back off is consequences. They just go looking for people that'll put up with their shit. You can let people know that you're not the one without having to like be vengeful about it. The other option is, like I said, accept that some people are just rotten and they just move through the world. Because like I said, you have ostensibly been in a low place and made bad choices. I have. I've atoned for my bad choices. If I did something wrong to you, I have apologized for it by now. I promise. Those people are never going to apologize. They're never going to see anything wrong with what they did, because I'm sure they think they're the victims in this situation. You just have to watch. Just watch what happens. And I promise you, a life well lived is the best revenge. If you just stay hydrated, do your squats, keep it pushing, get the bag, those people will never be able to do that. They will never even know happiness anyway. And a life well lived, 100 times out of 100, is the best revenge. Would recommend. So the next reason, or the next way you might be wanting to act out your villain era, is because you are tired of playing it safe. And this is not unlike the first point, but it is a little bit, stay with me. So people who want to gravitate or want to kind of activate the I'm tired of playing it small sides of themselves, like they want to start getting real big and puffed up, that's an overcorrection from a life that taught them somewhere down the line that to play it small is to be safe. And sometimes that could be literally. They believe that a state of inaction is a way to guarantee that bad things won't happen to them. And a lot of times, these are the people who watch from the sidelines a lot, who feel overlooked and ignored. They feel invisible. And this usually causes a lot of resentment. And I do believe this is the recipe for an internet troll or a hater, which is its own kind of villain, I guess. These people want to be in the spotlight on some level. They want to take action. They want to go after what they want. But again, somewhere down the line, they got the memo that to do so would make them a villain. It would be bad. You know, it's so funny how growing up, we get these ideas in our world views, I can never say that, are colored by experiences we have with other people when we're young and like their worldview. So like, I guess what I'm saying is, for example, let's say you got a lot of attention in school for something you were really good at. Let's say you were great in the spelling bee and all that shine just pissed people off. Like your siblings were pissed because you were getting attention. Your classmates were pissed that you were getting attention. So on some level, you start to associate, oh my God, if I get attention, if people see that I'm good at something, I'm going to get bullied for it. Or that's hate. Hate, baby girl. It's hate. Schoolyard haters start young is my point. Or maybe you grew up in a household, and this does happen sometimes, where the entire family dynamic is dependent on the happiness and the mood of one person in that family. Like the sun sets and rises based on their mood that day. The only time anyone's having a good time is if they're having a good time. And then that kind of creates a culture in your head and in your heart that says like, things just can't be about me. It can't be all about me. Something bad will happen. There is an external force, an external person that I must rally around and defer to because otherwise I'm selfish. Like that's something that happens in certain households, especially if one of your parents or siblings was a narcissist. The whole world revolves around that person. It's not a family unit. It's not a team. It's not a group. It's just a bunch of people trying to placate and make that person happy. And when you have children who grow up in that dynamic, like I said, sometimes they can get the message that like anything that has to do with them is selfish. It's wrong because they have been told it is. Essentially, literally, you will be told that like, well, we can't worry about you and your needs. What about your dad? Like that's what it turns into. And the sad thing is, sometimes, minimizing yourself becomes a way of life because you are so afraid of what will happen if you went for what you wanted. If you became the person you wanted to be, the only thing you associate that with is harm and negativity. It doesn't feel safe to do it. But all of these things are just trauma responses. I did a video earlier today, and I talked about how when I first started going to therapy, one of the things that really threw me for a loop was finding out that the majority of the ways I operated in the world, the way I looked at things, was a full-blown trauma response and almost nothing else. It was barely a personality. It was fully operated in fear. That was hard for me to hear because I had to accept the fact that like, if I'm not like this, I don't even know who I am. That was the first blow that I got from therapy. The next thing I learned in therapy that really threw me for a loop was when she told me that by as much as like my worldview and my fear were informed by people trying to control me walking on eggshells and like trying to play it small and placate everyone around me was just as controlling. It's another form of control. You were trying to make someone do something else, do something you want them to do. You don't want them to do something you don't want them to do. So you're manipulating your behavior to get an outcome. And the sad truth is we can't control anyone but ourselves. Period. Astronaut. Like, if you learn nothing else from my channel, I hope it's that. You have to know, I've talked about this before, what your spaces are. This is your space. This is the area of this entire universe you have control over, and that is it. So trying to live your life, again, this is going to be resonate through the whole video. Living your life because you're trying to accommodate someone, because you're trying to piss someone off, because you're trying to get a reaction out of someone, it is always because you are controlled by them. You are controlled by other people. I hate the idea, I got a text message. I hate the idea of being controlled by other people. It's like a big trigger for me. But I didn't realize that I was being my own little version of controlling by being so inactive in so many ways for such a long time because I didn't want to rock the boat or upset anyone. So the overcorrection there is like, I'm coming out. So you better get this party started. I guess what I'm trying to say is if this part of the video resonates with you, I just want you to know that if you grew up in a situation or felt affected negatively by people in your life because you wanted things for yourself, or you had goals for yourself or preferences for yourself, that not only does it not make you a villain, so I guess this is kind of an outlier on the list. Like if this is the way you want to be a villain, I say go for it, because this is actually not villainous at all. It's just autonomy. And if you need food for thought on how to kind of tap into that and really go after what you want and own yourself more, I have a whole playlist called the High Maintenance Energy series down below. Highly recommend you check it out, because that is really the point of this type of content that I do, is to like help you guys understand that it is okay to have a level of self-focus. It's not evil or terrible or villainous as some people, abusive, controlling people, might want you to believe. And I completely support you playing it real big and going after what you want. So I just wanted to say that really quick. So the last reason you might, oh my God. So the next way that you might be wanting to unlock your villain era, and this is the last one I have for you today, is that you want to inspire envy in someone. Now, at the risk of beating a dead horse here, if you are trying to get a reaction out of someone, you are controlled by them. If it's not for you, if it's not simply you, like, it's one thing to move through this world and do things that naturally make people jealous. It's a whole nother thing to be doing things to make people jealous. And in 2022, man, with the algorithm and the filters and the da-da-da-da-da, everyone on some level is trying to make someone jealous, it seems like. It could be a particular person, it could be a particular group of people, it could be the world at large. You can tell, I guess is what I'm saying. You can tell when people are doing things for themselves and when they're doing it for the look, for the gram, when they're doing it because they want a reaction. It's completely dependent on the fact that they're able to get a certain reaction. Again, you are controlled by people in this moment. It's like maybe you have a new boyfriend and you want to make the ex jealous, or maybe you have a new job and you want to make the coworkers jealous. But the point here is this villain stage kind of looks like making choices that will get a rise out of someone or several someones. The problem here is that, again, you can't control anyone, and therefore you may be doing all of this and never get the reaction that you're looking for. And if it's not coming from a place that is of the self, then you're spinning your wheels and potentially doing things you don't even want to do, trying to get a reaction that you might never get. And I'll tell you how that looks. So the truth of the matter is, the human race at large projects a lot of stuff. We project good things onto people, we project bad things onto people, and sometimes we project values onto people. Meaning, like, you assume that the things that you value are the things that other people value, right? So, like, let's say you really value a certain car. You're going to assume everybody else does too, and so you having this car means they're all lime-colored jelly beans. Or let's say you value a particular career. You're going to assume that because you have this career and someone else doesn't, they're just jelly beans. Maybe they are, but there's no way to know, really. I mean, sometimes you can tell. Like I said, sometimes you can really tell based on what people post on social media, what they really, really value and what they cling to. But for the most part, it's really hard to assume what people actually will get jealous of. Like, I'll give you a really good example. So I have a friend. Yeah, my friend. I have a friend who has an ex. This ex turns her stomach. Like, they were together when she was way younger. And so many years, like a decade has gone by. She is not, like, she would be happy to never see or hear from this person again. It's nothing to do with him. It's been that way for a very long time. So this ex has a new woman. And the new woman is convinced that my friend is jealous of her for whatever reason. It's really difficult to figure out exactly what this woman assumes my friend is jealous of. They've made it clear through social media posting. They've made it clear through the way they run their trap incessantly about it, that they are convinced this friend of mine is jealous of them. That to me, like, outsider looking in, I look at this whole situation and it's very clear to me that the new woman, like, two things are clear right now, right? Number one, it's clear that this woman finds my friend's ex to be just the pinnacle. I mean, I don't really know, again, what else she thinks my friend is jealous of, but just the pinnacle of men, just the best men anyone has ever had or ever will have. Like, so it's clear that she really, like, this is just the dream. Okay, cool. Good for you. Dreams come true. The other thing that is very clear to me is that this woman really wants to be an equal with my friend. Like, really wants to consider herself a worthy adversary of my friend. Is really tied up and like really needs that to be true. Otherwise, what is the point of this entirely one-sided beef? Because my friend has not gone on social media and said anything about her, really doesn't know her, has never met her, has nothing to do with her, doesn't even think about her unless she is forced to, or when she tells me this stuff, so I get to like make a teachable moment out of it for you guys. Yeah, it's clownish. It's really clownish. And that is what it looks like a lot of times when people are going out of their way to make other people jealous. Again, if you're just living your life and it inspires envy, but it really is not a big deal to you because this is what you wanted anyway, and if people have a problem with it, okay, whatever, I'm still happy. That is one thing. But if you are going out of your way to do this spectacle of like, me and Brian, like, she's so jealous, or like, whatever, girl, you look silly. You look silly, sweetheart. Because again, you are making a lot of assumptions in this moment. You are assuming that what you're trying to like lord over someone's head has the ability to make them jealous in the first place. And again, you're saying so much about like your insecurities. It's really clear that you are triggered by the other person. You're being controlled, again, by the person that you're trying to make jealous. And I am telling you, people can smell it. People can tell when someone is trying to make them jealous. And I think outside of like the age of 14 and 15, it's a really ineffective way to get revenge. Again, the best revenge is a life well lived. It's the best way to make someone jealous. Is like, you are literally living your best, happy as a clam, and people over here are just like seething, just can't even stand it. It's way better, actually way easier to do. And then again, because we cannot guarantee the reaction we're going to get out of other people anyway, the feelings they have about what you do are of no consequence. If they end up jealous, if they end up angry, then cool, I guess. You won't even care anymore by the time you're like at the point of going after what you want and living your life the way that you want to. Other people's opinions will not matter. So I guess the central thesis of this video is, if you want to unlock your villain era in the ways that I have listed, think about it, figure it out, see if it really is the best course of action, because like I said, for the most part, shit just has a way of working out. I've yet to see it go any other way. I mean, honestly, it might not look the way you want it to look. It might not happen the day that you want it to happen. But with certain people, like, again, you don't know what really keeps them up at night. You don't know what really grinds their gears. And a lot of people that you would want to get revenge on anyway, they're probably beneath you and stay pissed off anyway. They're already mad, girl. Don't worry about it. Anyway, I've been filming all day. I'm sorry if this video was super rambly. As always, thank you to the patrons. Like I said, if you want to come hang out on Patreon for the book club in the month of, it's going to be like March/April. All the information is down below. I'm trying to pump out a lot of content right now, trying to get like a new workflow going that allows me to produce more content at a higher quality. So I am in a very big like taking recommendation stage. Therefore, if you have any, leave them down below. But other than that, I got to get going. I have to go to the airport, and I will catch you guys in the next one.